Well, that escalated really, really quickly. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss episodes 5 and 6 of Mike, Jailbird, and Desiree. Now before I get into all things, the quality of the show is definitely slowly declining. I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss. Oh, you know the show really has me tight when I don't even feel like episode 6 warrants an extra, separate video. No, we're going to discuss everything right here real quick and just hatch it out, because what was this?
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into these episodes. Now, getting into the show, I enjoyed episodes 1 and 2. When we got into episode 3, more so the Robin Givens episode, where I think we all have been wishing and hoping for more time, more effort. Why can't we stay here a little longer? Why can't these episodes be a little longer? There's so much more that we need to talk about. But for the most part, I felt like those first 3 episodes were handled a certain way. I felt like they were developed as much as they could have been for the episodes to only be 30 minutes. And I felt like the acting was handled well. Now, when we get into episode 4, I kind of felt like the show is starting to slowly decline, with episodes 3 and 4 being really pivotal moments as far as Mike Tyson's career. Outside of the relationship with Robin Givens, there were so many pivotal fights, so many knockouts, so much build-up for him to become the undisputed eat your children ass Mike Tyson. Not only was he, strong and intimidating, but he was really revered by the public. Like, they uplifted him so much and loved what he stood for, and knew, like, as that strong black boxer, if you went up against him, you were going to get knocked the fuck out. Like, he was the people's champ in a very big way. And I feel like it's really glossed over here, and we are only kind of throwing a pebble in the pond as far as what happened in his life. But I had a little hope, because I said to myself, if we're getting into this next episode, which is titled Desiree, I know that this is going to be handled in a particular way, because it's such a big subject matter and such a pivotal moment in his crazy career as a boxer. We did not get anything that I expected. We have completely left Mike Tyson altogether, and all the way from the title of the episode, from who we meet as soon as the episode comes on. This is clearly geared as a vehicle for Miss Desiree Washington, and we are no longer talking about Mike Tyson. We enter the pageant world of the Miss Black America contest, and we meet her. She's young, 18, sheltered, smart. She's bursting with energy, and I wouldn't say that she's just so much naive, but there is a realm of innocence surrounding her. And unlike all the episodes that we got before, this story, as well as the incident that takes place, is solely told from her perspective. Not only is Mike Tyson very much so absent from the episode, but he almost doesn't say a word for the entire 30-minute run. From the time that we meet Desiree, there is this strong sense of wholesomeness, this strong brand of Christianity. She's educated, motivated, pristine, beautiful. She's a black girl, she's young, and she is a starstruck fan who is sadly taken advantage of by Mike Tyson. And this is already where the episode begins to drop the ball, with the episodes being so short and blunt and to the point. We don't even get to see the state of Mike Tyson after losing pretty much everything after the fight with Buster Douglas, losing the belt, being more engulfed in the women and the drugs and kind of getting into the down spiral of his career after it's, who am I if I am not the champ? We just immediately jump into Desiree. And when we see him, it's more so in a predatory sense. Him approaching, scoping out the scene at the pageant rehearsal setting, oh, you're innocent, you're that, that good Christian girl, aren't you? Give me a hug, lean in. At which we just see so much glean and admiration and anticipation for this date, which turns into a 2 a.m. meeting in a limo. And, oh, I need to go back to my hotel to get something, at which she is attacked and sexually assaulted. And then we proceed immediately into things like giving statements and getting kits and stuff like that at the hospital. And then we begin with a trial. Now, at the very beginning, I did not so much have a problem with the episode. Desiree is, the victim in this situation, and I would never be one to victim shame or take sides, because at the end of the day, nobody knows officially what happened in that room outside of her and Mike Tyson. So when we are starting off the episode with her and we are getting to know her as a person, her character, her background, her parents, her upbringing, and we get to the portion of her getting in the limo and it just cuts to her trying to get up the courage to take it to trial, and this is not something I want to do, but I was, assaulted, and I'd like to report it, and I'd like to prosecute so this doesn't happen to anybody else. Fine. I thought after that moment we would, cut and we would get a certain session of things from Mike Tyson's perspective and his reflection on that night of what happened, and just kind of make it a 50-50 situation as much as they could in the 30-minute episode. We did not get that. With so much having come out from the time that this episode is airing, from when this incident actually occurred, the stint in jail, him getting out, more people coming out as far as testimonies that didn't get to be heard, who maybe knew Desiree Washington, or even more so other things like her father and that perception of Christianity and what she maybe is willing to do to protect that aspect, or even, an old boyfriend of hers coming out to say, I was accused once upon a time, just because those were the lengths that she was willing to go to protect that, pristine, Christian, clean, I'm not having sex before marriage image of herself. I think this episode warranted so much more than them completely taking her 2020 Barbara Walters interview and taking everything there literally verbatim down to the wording and placing it here to make this entire episode. It was so shallow, in my opinion, to only go that deep for something so severe in this episode. Like, this is so serious, and I felt like it should have been handled with a lot more care, not only to make Mike Tyson look a certain way or make him look innocent. I'm not ever going to say that, but just with everything that has transpired, I would think that this would be a good opportunity to collectively do things a certain way. But no, we took this moment and decided to make it more of a violence against women moment, make it a vindicative moment for, women who go unheard when it comes to not only sexual assault, but so many incidents that occur where women, especially Black women, are not protected. So we love to see, a story of overcoming, dealing with trauma, getting justice. I just do not think that this was the show or the episode for it. Her world, as well as her family, is changed so much from this situation. She has to deal with so much pressure and so much discrimination coming from everywhere. Everything from religious groups, Black leaders like Farrakhan, we have Don King continuing to stick by his side and speak out, and then we have these these groups of Mike Tyson supporters, and a lot of these supporters are other Black women. This entire situation was and still is a really good case study for the human mind, human behavior, and what it looks like when you are accusing somebody of a certain status or caliber, or a male of any type of trauma, assault in many different ways, and what it really looks like to get justice. If I am still going to be targeted, if I am going to receive slander, not only are people not going to believe me, but my life is going to be changed forever, to where I can't even walk down the street or even exist without being that who tried to take down Mike Tyson. So did I really get justice? Is it really warranted for me to have pursued this case if I am the one who is so heavily having my life affected after this incident? And then on the other hand, we have somebody like Mike Tyson being an entirely different case study because of who he is, his background, where he comes from, the age difference is brought up, the height, the weight, the caliber of who he was, the status, the money, and just his total outlook as being this rough and tough, no nonsense, vulgar, abusive tyrant of a champion who took advantage of this woman. But if I am innocent, who I am being penalized for, the way I speak, the way I carry myself, the language that I decide to use. Look at the people who are surrounding you in this trial, like your lawyer, like Don Keene, who are supposed to have your back or, be uplifting you in this situation. Look at what they are allowing to be said. Look at how they are presenting you to the jury. Look at different amounts of evidence was able to slide by, like not letting certain people testify, like not even maybe really bringing up the fact that she did other things, like removed her panty liner when she was on her period. There is just so much to talk about that it makes my head hurt. But the problem here is we only had 30 minutes to do it, and they decided to completely minimize Mike Tyson altogether. This is solely the story of the victim, uplifting her and creating a narrative around him that makes him appear like a predator, makes him feel slick, savage, and entitled, just there to conquer Desiree. Not only should she be eager just to give sex for me, but she shouldn't even mind if I try or I do decide to take it. I'm fucking Mike Tyson. Don't you love me now? Like, the way that they went about it was quite gross in my opinion. And in fact, if I was the victim, I would not even want to be associated with this, because the truth is the truth and my story is my story. So there should be no need to minimize situations like me taking my pad off in the bathroom, having her constantly break the fourth wall to share her mind frame, her feelings, how this is affecting her, getting more into the close-ups on her face, continuing to repeatedly make her look super duper vulnerable and innocent and Christian and good girl throughout the episode, all the while just dealing with all the fuckery and the disgusting energy that they have coming off of Mike Tyson. That doesn't need to be necessary. I think it actually minimizes the impact that they felt that they had to go that far to get the point across. But that's when we get into the episode not really being about Desiree and not being about Mike Tyson either. This is more so a situation to join in and capitalize on the movement, be that voice for women. Oh, this is what's, hot, what's popping right now. Let's take this incident to, you have been assaulted, call this number. Women, we stand with you. You too can get your justice like Desiree. But look how this affected her. This I just felt like it was kind of pandering and peddling to a certain audience, and they saw this episode as a moment to be a part of a moment instead of giving a realistic perception of not only Desiree's side but Mike Tyson's side, and just leaving the audience to make their own judgments as they did when the case initially happened. But it's TV. Now, when we get into episode 6, Jailbird, the episode that I didn't feel to even make a separate video for because I literally do not have anything good to say about it. From Episode 3 and moving on down, it's like the quality of the writing in the show is slowly declining. I literally did not like one thing about episode 6. This is supposed to be a really reflective time of where he feels like, you know what everybody thought about me was correct. This is all I was ever meant for. And he ends up back where he started, back where his mom always said he would be. Back to the basic instinct of being a savage, an asshole, negative, combative, and then later being complacent and comfortable. Not only is he really comfortable, but he is thriving. He's in charge. He is whole as prison wealthy. And then we end up having that really big question in the episode of what does all of the wealth really mean, all the fame, the boxing career, what weight does it really hold if he feels more sane, more complete, empowered, just almost downright free if he is in prison? Versus the outside where there are so many expectations for him to be more than that. He has a lot more to carry on his shoulders. He is supposed to be the champion, not only, for a sense of himself or for Don King, but for so many other people who put him up on a pedestal or even, be taken advantage of, be used, be traumatized, get into more violence, more drugs, more opportunity for him to be unsettled and under pressure for people who don't actually care about him at the end of the day. In prison, I am somebody. On the outside, I'm nobody. That says a whole lot about where his state of mind is and what he feels like he just represents as a whole, as a man. Was that elaborated on properly within the 30-minute episode? Absolutely not. The episode tried to do far too much in 30 minutes and it just ended up not really flowing, making any sense. And I feel like this is the worst episode that we have gotten so far. The show tried to be really smart, make statements about prison life, the culture, the system, and just ended up trying to be a little too stylized, and it felt really stupid. And we also got him constantly breaking the fourth wall from the very beginning, which he has done repeatedly throughout the show, but this is the first time in the show with this episode that it just absolutely got on my nerves, and I felt like it was a little bit too much. And the pacing and the writing of this episode was just so bad. The writing was really poor. It just felt like whoever wrote on those first 2 episodes, from this point on, they just left. They disappeared, and they have just been making shit happen. The episodes are really picking and choosing what they want to take from. Oh yeah, maybe we heard this in an interview. Maybe we heard this in his one-man stand-up show, and we are going to surround the entire episode around it. And it just absolutely doesn't work. It feels shallow. Like, yeah, I feel like this is how men probably talk to and communicate with each other in prison. Let's throw that in there. Yeah, and throw in the Constitution and this friend. Yeah, he's a smart nigga. Yeah, put that nigga in glasses and let him be the one who inspired him. I believe he was mentioned in his one-man stand-up show also. Let's build a whole scenario around this one character. Everything feels really empty and just shallow and just like really cheap. Like we just couldn't go the extra mile to really add more depth to this episode. Every situation and character outside of him absolutely meant nothing. Even Travante's acting at this point was starting to come into question. It got really bad for me, and I just found it to be kind of laughable, and I couldn't take him serious at times. Not much unlike the Islamic culture, the faith, the counterparts that he meets in prison, or maybe even on the outside when we get the situation with Don King. They all felt really shallow and one-dimensional. I just didn't get anything off of them. Even down to the end when we get an appearance from Maya Angelou, like what the fuck was that? It was a whole horrible scene. Travante's acting wasn't working. There were even some points where the special effects or the prosthetics, like the teeth that are in his mouth, they literally looked like dentures while he was standing on that porch next to Don King, and they were about to protrude out of his mouth. After I've just sat here and had to watch a really fake character-esque portrayal of Don King with this protruding fake mall Santa belly prosthetic. Like, it was just all bad. And then we leave off with him having the picture taken with Maya Angelou, and it's just like, well, oh yeah, you know, this was for the culture, this was a big moment, and but yeah, I sold it for, you know, some donuts. You know how hard it is. Like, it just was supposed to display that he is not too far removed from the initial young dude that we met who was robbing and stealing and saying, you know, hey, I didn't take anything, but all the while you're still doing these things along with trying to be an up and coming boxer. Like, he is still very much so stuck in that mind state of being that young kid from Brownsville. Like, he has not had any real growth on his part, or, you know, mature or dealt with any trauma, nothing to really know who he wants to be. He is in no way rehabilitated or even in any position to really get out of prison. Not to say that he wanted to get out in the first place, because we see that he's comfortable and he wants to stay because he's not ready to deal with the outside world and what, you know, expectations may wait for him there. So we just know that he is gearing up for that outside life that we saw him continue on with, you know, all the debauchery, the drugs, the house, the tiger, the Holyfield, all of that fuckery. Am I looking forward to it? Absolutely not. Like, it took so much for me to continue on and review these 2 episodes here. I really need y'all to drop down in the comments, you know, if any of you watch, and ask me if you do want me to continue on, because I have genuinely lost all interest. The writing has declined. The acting has declined. The aesthetic, like, it's just not working at all for me, and I don't know if it's something that I want to continue on with. I doubt that with, you know, 2-3 more episodes or whatever, that it's just going to pick up and be immaculate. Like, the fact that it could decline in such a way and drop the ball on 2 of maybe the most important episodes within the show is really sad. Well, you guys, that was my review for Mike episodes 5 and 6. I hope you enjoyed them. Please drop down and tell me what you thought. As far as the first episode, I did try to be as unbiased and as general as I could be with the subject matter, but I am always going to be honest about what I feel like I watched. And it just as far as the show as a whole, like, I am very much so disappointed in the decline of the quality, and you can very much so see why anybody, as far as Mike Tyson or whomever, would want to wait for his story to be told properly and right and really invest in it, because we see what happens when nobody's willing to invest proper time, or, you know, do thorough checks, invest in not only the storyline and the production, but the acting, the quality, what you are delivering to an audience who are looking to know more, you know, about a person beyond what you see. So I think it's very adamant that he be involved, because we see firsthand what happens when he is not. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video. I look forward to reading your comments. Be sure to like. I see you guys next time. Bye.